Men today have everything they want. If they want to be comfortable, they lay in bed all day. If they want to be distracted, they go on their phones. If they want to have sex, they watch pornography. If they want to feel like they just caught and cook a meal, they go to McDonald's. Yet somehow, with all of these desires met, they're still depressed, still lonely, and still confused. And this is because modern society is going to give you distractions rather than true direction. Howdy, my name is Nolan T. Painter, an aspiring young man with aspirations greater than anyone will ever understand. And in today's video, I want to talk about how modern men, more than ever, are longing for purpose, true purpose. So how is it possible that men are stuck in this trap without able to even realize that they have a true purpose? It's because of comfort. Comfort is marketed as happiness, but ultimately it kills your drive. Why is this? Why is happiness so evil? Why am I shining this negative light on happiness? Well, the truth is there's nothing wrong with wanting to be happy. But happiness, true happiness, comes from deserving something and earning it. For example, working hard for your dinner, cooking, or catching your meal, and then thus you deserve it, you earned it, and you can be happy with it. Or a relationship, or the money, or whatever. However, nowadays people are just going to tell you, be happy. You know, your parents and your friends will tell you, just be happy. But what they mean by that isn't be happy through working really hard and earning things. It's submit and be comfortable. Because people don't want you to work hard. They want you to just have the fruits of your labor. But if your labor isn't good, and your labor isn't resulting in bounty, then you will have no fruits to show. So, if you wish to be happy, that comes through work, and not through scrolling or just receiving things. Now, I'll get into the details for that later, but essentially you need to know that modern life, it really removes all challenges. As we're familiar, we get instant food, instant entertainment, instant lust, instant validation. You don't even have to do much for it. People will tell you anything you want to hear, and thus you'll tell yourself what you want to hear. You'll tell yourself you deserve things when ultimately you do not. And purpose, ultimately, can't exist without resistance. So if you want purpose, if you want to be happy through your purpose, if you want to deserve things and then through deserving things be earning things, you need to work hard. You need to be resilient. You need resistance. You need life to push against you so that way you can be proud of the work when it does happen. When you go to McDonald's and buy food, do you think you'd be happier than the guy who works really hard and cooked a beautiful steak and took time to learn it and then shared that with his partner? You might have a bit of dopamine, but you definitely wouldn't be more fulfilled. And you absolutely wouldn't be happier and feel like you're deserving it. Let's go on a bit of a more extreme example. Let's say you're in a relationship with someone and you're laying with them. That's all. You're laying with them. You're at peace. You're winning as a man. You let your partner know you feel safe as you're laying with them, and you're comforted laying with them. And your partner, this woman in turn, lets you know she is safe with you. She feels comfortable with you because you as a man have led her and you're leading her to safety. It's beautiful. Nothing better. The alternative is watching pornography. Which is more fulfilling? I'll let you decide that. So in this, we have to have the resistance though. It takes time to find that partner. It takes time to cook that perfect steak. It takes time to complete things. Moreover, you have to actually be good at it. You can't just make 1,000 steaks. You have to actually learn how to make a good steak. You can't just date 1,000 women. You have to learn how to actually be a good man. So consider too our older generations. If you look now, because things are so easy, we neglect the actual challenge that's necessary to be deserving of things. Right? I just gave you two examples that were quintessential to wanting to deserve something, wanting to feel happy out of earning something that you so rightfully deserve. If you look at older generations, times are way tougher for them. So happiness, or the lack of depression and the lack of loneliness, was much less because you had to actually work for things. And because you worked for things, your fruit was way better. You were way happier. You put more effort in. You were more fulfilled. But because things come so naturally and easy nowadays, all our desires are just checked off on a daily checkbox, rather than something we work for every day. So maybe one day we may eventually check it off, and thus it'll be so much better. So, Now that we have a bit of an idea of what purpose is, what blinds us? Well, what's this false purpose? There's a lot of it. So false purpose would be like a symbol. Money, your body count, your status. It ultimately just leaves you feeling empty. How do I know it makes you feel empty? How do I know this is a false purpose? Well, I know it's a false purpose because people chase it like it is a purpose. They chase it like it's some sort of life-changing thing. Oh yeah, I'll have sex again, or I'll make more money, or I'll get more status. But if you think about it, if something was truly your purpose, you would achieve it once and be fulfilled. If something was truly fulfilling, you would achieve it and you would never need to chase it ever again. Do you think porn and sex is fulfilling if you have to do it again and again and again and again every day chasing it? It's probably not fulfilling. So take that and do as you will, and hopefully you'll realize that a lot of those things are symbols. A lot of those things are just check boxes that you're fulfilling that don't actually bring you real fulfillment. You're submitting to life. In reality, you need to grab life by the balls and do what you wish, which is the beauty of it, because you have freedom of will. You have the ability to do whatever you wish. So hopefully you choose the right answer, which is happiness through hard work. So anyways, these achievements, the aforementioned money, body, counts, status, etc., ultimately lack meaning because they serve ego and not responsibility. And this is an important one. In life as men, our biggest issue, our biggest crutch, is not being deserving of something. Women and dogs and babies are all loved no matter what, but men won't. Men are loved based on how good they are. If a man is loving and caring and strong and safe and is a good man in all the good ways he can be, he's valued and he's loved. If he isn't these things, he's rejected. And men are terrified of that because men don't want to be rejected. But here's the thing. Here's the truth. Here's the hard truth. You don't deserve the things you want. You don't deserve the money. You don't deserve the girl. You most certainly don't deserve to go to heaven. However, here's the beauty of it. You can work towards these things. Because even though our ego tells us, we deserve this, through humbling ourselves, we realize we don't deserve these things. We don't deserve to have all the beautiful things in life. But that's where responsibility comes in. That means we're responsible to work hard every day to make the money such that one day we do deserve it. Because you deserve things through working for them and earning them, not through just receiving them. We'll work hard every day to be a good man for a good woman, so we do deserve a relationship. And with religion, you'll work hard, have a close relationship with Jesus, as I believe in Christianity, and thus make it to heaven. Now, obviously, it's more complicated than that. It's greatly more complicated. But the point is, you as a man need to humble yourself and realize you don't deserve the things you want. You don't. You need to work hard to earn them. You need to be responsible. And the illusion of purpose comes through metrics and validation, right? I just told you earlier, your friends and family will tell you to be happy, which means submission to life. So don't let people validate you. Don't let people determine how hard you're going to work. Because ultimately, you are the only thing that determines how hard you're willing to work. That's it. You are ultimately the determiner of your purpose and your desire, and whether you deserve it or not. Seriously. If you think you deserve something, then you must have earned it. And to earn it, you must have worked hard. Notice how only you are in the picture, not your friends or family who said, be happy, or this and that, or have balance. It was you who worked for it. You deserved it. You completed your desire off of the work that you put in. So you are the common denominator that determines whether you achieve your desires or not. So don't let other people influence you, and let only your own word and your own thought be the sword and shield that carries you through the battle which is life, such that you eventually win the war that you do wage against yourself, and you do eventually deserve the things you so wish to earn. And additionally, you must consider the thing specifically of which you're doing. Distractions. I'll talk about this in a bit more depth later, but really, in life, we want to be busy. Why do we want to be busy? Well, I'll touch on that in a moment, but really, We just know we want to be busy. We want to fill our life with nonsense so that way we feel like we're doing something. But here's the thing. If you want to go to the NBA, would you spend your day hanging out, playing video games, maybe playing a bit of basketball, and then playing tennis? No. You would train hard, specifically to get into the NBA or the NFL or whatever it is, whatever athlete's sport you wish to get into, the Olympics. Hell, Paralympics, I don't care, whatever you want. Whatever you want to get into, whatever challenge you're faced with, if you work in other regards, you're not going to achieve the thing you so wish to achieve. If you want to make $1 million, or you think you're going to make that money off of just doing whatever? Right? Oh, I cleaned my room today, I cleaned the house today. You're not going to reach your goal. If you want to become a Mr. Olympian, you got to do a lot of work, especially in the gym. So, are you going to go run an ultra marathon? Probably not. Now, if you want to be a long distance runner, then it's probably a good idea. But otherwise, don't fill your life with things that make you feel busy, because ultimately you're not being productive. Being busy and productive are two different things. You can be busy with a lot of schoolwork, but is that schoolwork actually bringing you closer to your goal? If it is, then you're productive. If it isn't, then you're just distracted. So let's look at distraction a bit more. So we want to be distracted because men hate silence. Why? Because silence allows men to confront themselves, and men hate being confronted. Why? Just because of the things I just told you earlier. You are not enough. You need to work harder. You are not as disciplined as you should be. You do not deserve the things that you want currently. Men hate that because men want to be comforted. Men want to be protected. Men want to just be pampered and loved. But you don't deserve that unless you earn it, and that sucks. But it also means you can work harder than anyone else and thus deserve it more than anyone else, which is the interesting thing about it. So why not take advantage of that realization and work harder? And in this, we see that porn, social media, ultimately is really just noise, and it's an escape mechanism from self-reflection, which is so important. And the more distracted you are, the less you're going to build. We know that because people want to escape from this noise, to escape from the lack of noise and just fill their life with noise. It's often nonsense. But you need to channel that noise to a specific frequency, the exact frequency that is resonating with your goal. So if your goal is at a certain frequency, why would you fill your life with noise when you should really be filling things that are as close as possible to that frequency? For example, I want to be a good man for a good woman whom I love so much. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to go do some nonsense. I'm not going to play video games. I'm not going to walk around in my room and do nothing. I'm not going to lust. I'm not going to do this and that. Well, I want to be a good man, so I'm going to go to that gym every day so I'm physically fit so I can protect her. I'm going to learn martial arts so I can protect her, and I'm wise enough to learn how to properly use my body. I'm going to go to school so I can be educated and be wise. I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to learn about things outside of my program so I can be more effective in all regards as a man should be. I'm going to learn and journal and make these videos so not only I can build a business off of helping others, which is related to the things I wish to do with my woman, but also just have financial stability and learn things that are and reflect upon things that are so much more essential to being a good partner and being a good man. And I'll put these things into practice and I'll learn them and I'll reflect from them. That is getting close to my resonant frequency, which resonates with my goal. Not doing some nonsense, not running ultra long marathons, not having live streams, or not doing this and that, not building Lego sets, not filling my day with nonsense, not always cleaning my room and keeping everything tidy. Now obviously you should be organized and you should take care of yourself and have a bit of maintenance, but you shouldn't fill your life with constant daily tasks, right? Because ultimately those daily tasks are maintenance and submission to life, not bringing you closer to your dreams or your goals. And if you want something so bad, you have to want to work for it too. If you want to get into the NBA, you gotta want to working out, and you gotta want to work, playing basketball all day and just grinding out every day. If you want to go to the NFL, you have to want to work towards the NFL. It's important. You can't just want the goal. You want to walk, you gotta walk. You want to work towards the journey itself. So, why so? Why so? Well, because when we are busy, when we do fill our life with distractions and with this noise, it looks like we're alive, it looks like we're working hard, but really the soul is not at peace. The soul is starved because we're not actually achieving this innate desire or this huge masculine purpose that we want, which is like the relationship, which is the money, which is the success. You're not achieving it. So you're burning yourself out without actually achieving something. So you're just busy, but you're not productive. So let's reevaluate here. How can we be productive? Well, let's look at purpose. Purpose isn't found, rather it's built through consistent responsibility. I talked about responsibility earlier. So that means being comfortable with failing a bajillion times in your life and experimenting and exploring and gosh darn it, I don't mean, oh, go figure yourself out in that stupid way where people go and make a bunch of stupid decisions. I mean, going to school, following an education, learning that education isn't for you and doing something else, learning that's not for you and doing something else, and putting yourself out there, going to the gym, trying to be at least a healthy man. There's a reason why people say you should be a good man before finding a good woman. Because if you find a good woman before actually knowing what you want to do in life, you're just going to drag her down in your nonsense. But if you know exactly what you want to do and you worked hard, and in doing that you yourself have become a better man, then that's perfect for a woman. You know what you want to do, you're set on it, you're going to work hard for it, and now she can find safety with you. And that purpose isn't naturally just found. You have to earn the purpose. I've done a lot of things in my life that I thought I really wanted to do. Now, I do want to do these things, but they weren't my purpose. And I'm not actually interested in working towards them. Like, I want to be in the Air Force, but I'm not really interested in working towards that. You know, I'd like to become a professional filmer, but I'm not quite interested in working into that either. So your purpose is something that you want, kind of like the way I want to work into film and want to be in the Air Force. But purpose also has to be something that you want to work towards. So if you want to be in the Air Force, you want to work towards it, that's your purpose. If you want to be a professional filmer, movie director, and you want to work towards it, then that's your purpose. But I don't want to work towards those things. I'm not that interested in doing the work for those things. So what is my purpose? Well, through a lot of failure and a lot of thinking, I've realized, and if you can't judge already by the nature of this channel, is to be a good man for specifically a good woman. I know who. She's in the back of my mind right now. Not the back of my mind, screw that. She's in the front of my mind. She's everywhere in my mind. Can't stop thinking about her. And that's my purpose. I want to work hard for that. I find joy in working really hard for that. That's my purpose. You know, maybe you want to be an F1 driver. Maybe you want to do this or that or whatever. But if you're enjoying and you're finding discipline and you're finding this, like, you're really checking off the boxes. If you're checking off the boxes, just doing the work before actually achieving it and deserving it, then that's probably your purpose. But you only get that through removing all the noise and really working towards all the things you so long to achieve. So in redefining purpose, we now know it comes from working really hard in specific aspects of your life, failing, finding another one, failing, finding another one. And that's why we see students fail, drop out of school, or then find another program to experiment with, because it only comes through working with things before you can realize if you like it or not. And it's in the things you choose that can carry you when you don't even have to. And it's this man's purpose that's revealed through his service and not his selfishness. And I kind of already alluded to that earlier, but it's really important here that a man is serving rather than being selfish. Because if you're going to these things with the idea of just receiving, then you're not chasing your purpose, you're chasing just validation, and you're chasing the reward. And remember, the reward isn't, the thing you're getting, the reward is the purpose and the happiness that you get after eventually being worthy of something and being enough. Because men are rarely enough. Men are rarely enough and rarely deserving. People are going to say, well, I've been told by someone, you deserve love. But she didn't love me. So how can I be worthy of love if I am not loved? How can I be worthy of understanding if I'm not understood? So I, even though I was told this, realized I needed to work harder to be worthy of those things. I need to work harder to be deserving of those things. And that didn't come through noise, that came through finding exactly what I wanted to be worthy in and exactly what my purpose was. And I wasn't chasing that validation, and I wasn't chasing to be told. I was chasing the purpose. I was chasing the happiness and the fulfillment that came from finally be deserving of something because I earned it. So a man's purpose is revealed through his service. not his selfishness. And to be a good man for a good woman, you must first be a man of purpose. So let's look at building things every day, because it's essential that we work every day for these things. So look at the power of small habits. Habits are essential. I recommend you read Atomic Habits or whatever book, or just learn a little bit about it. Essentially, you do things in life. Kind of like when you go to the bathroom, you go on your phone. But instead of going on your phone, maybe you read a page in a book, and then eventually you'll read a whole book. You wouldn't have done that anyways, so that's cool. These are atomic habits. These things build you. Doing some push-ups before going to bed. Okay, it might suck doing push-ups the first few days, but eventually you get so used to it that you don't even think about it. You're just like, okay, go to bed, push-ups, okay, I'm asleep. Right? And then by the end of the year, you would have been jacked. Or you would have been really darn good at doing push-ups. Or it would have got you in the gym. So atomic habits just build you. And these habits are necessary for following things every day. And the truth is, doing things every day will bring you closer to your goal. You just have to be doing things that are, related to your goal. And the fulfillment comes from doing what you want to do, even when it's unseen. So no one's going to see you doing push-ups before you go to bed, but it's quintessential to wanting to become stronger or get into the gym. It's quintessential to wanting to be a better man. So you got to start. And then this leads into the compound effect. Well, you compound. Okay, you might have stuck doing push-ups before, but after doing them for a very long time, you'll get really good, and all of a sudden it won't be difficult. And then you can get into the gym, and then you're going to get into this, and then this and that. And because you're disciplined doing push-ups before going to bed, you're going to get really good at the next thing, and then this thing, and then this thing. But here's the problem. You got to humble yourself. Rich men, and you see this a lot in rich men, often think that they're deserving of women. Because they tell themselves, I worked really hard to make a lot of money. And you know what? Fair play. They are deserving of money because they worked hard to make it. Think of Hamza. He's a pretty wise guy. He's ripped, he's strong, he looks good, he's rich. But he's a bit of a douchebag with women. I've seen in his videos, he's like, I could sleep with 100 women if I wanted to right now. I could just screw any woman I want. And I'm like, dude, what are you on about, man? You're a good guy and then you're saying stuff like this. It's nonsense. And think about it. In his mind, this is what he believes. He worked hard for his money. And stop. He worked hard for his money. Thus, he's deserving of it because he earned it. Fair play. But here's the thing, and this is where the ego comes in that I talked about earlier. Oftentimes, our ego would lead us to believe, oh yeah, I worked hard for my money, so you know what? I deserve a good woman. No. If you want to be deserving of a good woman, you know what you got to do? Realize it's not the same as money or anything else. It's a completely separate and unique goal. So what you do is you start working towards being a good man for a good woman, the same way you would work towards being a good man worthy of a lot of money. So like investing and learning how to manage funds turns into working on yourself and being a good romantic guy. It's as simple as that. And you'll learn from that. You can't just sleep with a bunch of people to fill that hole. You have to find one purpose. Or one person. You have to redirect that purpose. And that's exactly what we see here. His purpose was money, he met his purpose, and then his ego told him because he met his purpose, he was deserving of everything else. And because of that, he said, okay, I'll sleep with a bunch of women without understanding what that would do to him. And it just filled this, or it failed to fill this giant hole in his heart, which was a woman. What he should have did is he should have humbled himself, was more responsible, and worked back from the ground up, learning out a new purpose. Because when your purpose is redirected, you have to restart at the bottom again. Here's the thing though, remember that compound effect? Because he's rich, because he has all the money, because he knows how to manage money, he's a lot of a better man. Because he's disciplined, because he has the body, because he has the mind, the strength, he's a much better man. So he's going to progress way faster than you and I are. But that only comes if he's able to humble himself and get rid of his ego such that he realizes he has to start from the ground up. Because otherwise, he's just going to have sex with a bunch of women without realizing it's what the effect on him actually is, which is he's not going to fill the hole in his heart, and he's going to keep on chasing it going, I'm deserving of this, I'm deserving of this. But the reality is you're only deserving of the things you're working towards, which in his case was his good body, his YouTube channel, and the money that he made. But ultimately, he's not deserving of a good woman because he hasn't really been working towards that if he's willing to say things like, I can sleep with any woman I want. You can't have that mindset if you really want to work towards things like that. So you have to work really hard within your own realm, which is dedicated to your purpose. But you shouldn't concern yourself with that because the reality is you have more likely than not yet to reach your first purpose. So you shouldn't even be concerning yourself with your shifting in purpose or your purpose changing and restarting, because people don't really do that, which is why they just, fall to their ego. So just focus on achieving your first purpose, whatever it is, and just remember, the one day that you do achieve your purpose, you can't have an ego so large that you fail to believe that you need to reach back down, start from zero, and work your way back up so that you can achieve another purpose. Because again, at the end of the day, you're only worthy and you're only deserving of the things you actually work for. You can't be deserving of a car if, you spent all your day working to be a long distance runner. You see how that's not how it works. If you work hard to be in the NFL, you can't be deserving all of a sudden of a really good partner. You might be deserving of being a good football player, but you might not be good at being a partner. Those things don't correlate. Now, there's a bit of a relationship between the two. Yeah, okay, you're a better man, you're a successful man, those are good things, but you gotta start from the ground up. You gotta reevaluate a lot of things. And you know what? That comes from working every day. And it also comes from faith and direction. So real purpose comes from your service and your faith. So not an external validation, as I've said before, not other people telling you you have to work, not other people saying what to do, because the truth is your work only comes from you. It only is built from you. Only you determine how hard you're willing to work. There's no external force, there's no this or that. Only you can determine how much you desire something, how much you wish to deserve it, how much you do deserve it when you reach the point, and how much you've actually worked to earn it. And then you can determine how grateful you are. So you notice the common denominator in all that was you. No one else. So let yourself be the only judge of how badly you desire something and how badly you're willing to work for it. And that comes through your faith in yourself and your service. And discipline without meaning eventually becomes burnout. And this is important because everyone says, burn out this, burn out that. How to avoid burnout. How to avoid stress. Oh, son, don't work, you're going to burn out. No, wrong. You burn out when you don't know why you're working. Think about every rich man who works super, super hard to make his money. When does he burn out? He burns out after he makes the money and when he realizes it's pointless and he lost his purpose. Think about it. He's poor, no money, and his purpose in life is making money. Okay, he works hard, working really hard. He makes his money, he achieves his purpose. Now what? He burns out not because he worked hard, but because he doesn't know what his purpose is, because he's achieved it. So, realize in those moments, you're not burning out because you're tired, you're burning out because you don't know why you're working. So when you have a purpose, it's so important to remember that purpose because it's the motivation that will leave you from from burning out. Yes, I get tired, but I understand that in moderation, I can rest. Or in the right moments, I can find rest. And that's because I'm enjoying working towards the things that I'm working towards. I'm enjoying pursuing my fulfillment and purpose in life, which is to be a good man for a good woman. And when I reach that point, I have to remember, I can't burn out because it's more likely than not that I'll burn out the moment that I don't realize what my purpose is. Again, that's why rich people burn out when they make all their money because they've achieved their dream. They don't know what to do next. And you, because you don't even know what you want to do right now, you're burning out because you're sitting there wanting to work, but you have no idea who you're working for and what you're working for. So you're just going to sit there and work for no reason and realize you're working for no reason and then give up because you have no motivation and no discipline. So ideally find someone, and I'll explain that in a bit of a moment, but ideally find someone or something that can give you a reason to work, which would be your purpose after years and years of discovering what that purpose is. And then when you build for others, when you work for these things, you'll find way more inner peace for yourself, which will allow you to overcome burnout and completely avoid it entirely, right? Burnout's not something that happens to people who are incredibly motivated and hard working towards a purpose. It happens to people who have completely lost their self-identity and have no idea why they're working. But anyways, why should we pursue people rather than things? Well, it's important that we pursue people because people allow us to reflect and grow, and I think ultimately there's no greater purpose than being a good man for a good woman or desiring a relationship and chasing a relationship rather than chasing worldly things like money or status. Because money and status, you don't bring that with you when you die, but the relationships and the people you're with, you do. And you hold on to those things, you build a legacy with those things, and it's beautiful. Those things are quintessential to being happy. You be happy with people rather than things. And one special person will be more important than anything. So have that pressure and that purpose with someone ideally. And until you find that someone, let that person be you. Let that person be yourself to become a better man. And then when you find that woman, let it be that woman. But anyways, I digress. You do know, purpose fulfills what comfort never can. Comfort will try and fill that ever-expanding void in your heart, saying, oh, I want to have sex, so I'll just go on porn. Or, I want a relationship, so I'm going to masturbate. Or I want food, so I'm going to go to McDonald's. I'm not going to actually go catch and cook a meal. And essentially what it does is it fails to fill that everlasting desire that you have, as if you're checking it every day rather than taking your time to check it off. Because taking your time will give you so much more happiness and fulfillment and purpose through the gratefulness that you will have after checking that off. And that's not to say that waiting and taking longer makes things better, but rather the amount of work that you're putting in that results in making the actual result better. Going to McDonald's for food might be faster than cooking a steak. And you know what? It might actually be better quality than the steak you're cooking because you suck at it. But if you spend years becoming a good chef and having all these amazing qualities, then you know what? You're probably going to find a bit more fulfillment cooking that steak than going to McDonald's. Moreover, men aren't really starving for money and pleasure anymore. They're really just starving for meaning. This relates to burnout. You can't burn out when you have meaning, when you have fulfillment. When you have meaning, it doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're searching for, you will find endless fulfillment inside of it. So be wise with what you attach your meaning to and push for that meaning and make sure it's really important and most importantly, healthy. And a man with purpose, with meaning, he will feel pain, but at least his suffering will have a direction. And he will find happiness one day. Unlike the man who isn't happy, but he's submitted to life and he's attached to life in chains, just rotting away. He won't have happiness one day, but you will have happiness. You will enjoy the fruits of your labor, and they will be good. Though times may be tough now, you will have one day everlasting happiness because you would have met your purpose. My name is Nolan T. Painter. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.